Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Double D Guitar. It's me, Double. Today we're going to look at and unbox this medium-sized pedal board. I found it on Amazon and my goal is to make a couple of videos to get you going, maybe even on how to get some of your pedals off the floor, off your shelf, and into a usable state on a board. So stay tuned, we're going to check out the Zong medium-sized guitar pedal board. Okay, so let's check out the Zong medium-sized pedal effect pasteboard. Electric guitar effect. Pedal board. Well, whatever the listing's called. Let's just see what we get in the box. Oh, there we go. So I got really the least expensive one I could find. This is my goal. I'm trying to not really spend more than $20 to $35 per piece with everything, including pedals and boards. So this will be my low budget board. And what I'll probably end up doing is, if my bass player lets me, is leave this and a small amp over at our practice spot so that I can have something to just kind of leave there and stop hauling around the big guy. I got the least expensive one, but I actually found one that had some add-ons. As you can see, it actually came with some cables and there's some Velcro. So let's open this up and see what we get inside. There was some wrap in the box, and looks like the whole board and all of it is bubble wrapped here. So this is a medium-sized board. One of my friends and viewers of the channel was messaging me about some tips on getting his first board kind of going and some getting into pedals and kind of keeping some together. So I figured this will be part one in getting an inexpensive or medium-sized board together, and then like some of the mods that I would do to it and some of the things that I would do. So this is obviously in the style of a pedal train, if you're familiar with pedal trains. The bottom isn't welded on. It's kind of welded on in the sides here, but you know, for what it is, for some pretty bad paint scratches. I don't know if I can get that in the light, but you can see where the paint right through there is. Yeah, there's some paint issues, but you know, I don't care. I spent not even $35 on this. Get a whole bunch of wire ties, a whole bunch of Velcro. Now, who knows about the adhesive? I like to use, I guess I like to use the 3M stuff because the adhesive is just so good on it. But they give you a lot. You get a lot of Velcro, and you get an assortment of patch cables to get you going. So that's, you know, that alone, that right there at a shop, a guitar shop, that'd probably cost you $10, $15, you know, depending on what you need exactly and what you were looking for. They might be a little longer than I need. One of the things we'll talk about in this little series of getting a board together is like maybe the upgrades. Like these ends, if something goes wrong with one of these cables, you can't really fix it, you know. It is what it is. It's then bad, and then you have to cut it and you make yourself other ones. So you have some alternatives that we'll talk about as far as upgrades. But this looks like a good little start to get you going, and it's got little wired. It's got cable ties, and then the stay downs that are adhesive that you can then put on the bottom of the board to kind of help keep your all of your wiring, keep all of your wiring, to keep all of your wiring neat and organized. Good grief. They give you a bunch of stuff with this little kit. I mean, that alone is a good $10 on Amazon probably, you know. So I'll end up finding like a little case probably to put this in just to travel with. For $35, that's not a bad little option. I'm gonna spend a little time populating it, and that'll be in part two. Just wanted to show you guys this quick unboxing of a decent little kit from Amazon. It doesn't look like there's many left. It's funny, it's very generic. The brand is even labeled as generic, but it's Zong, Tzong, and it's a medium-sized pedal effect pedal board. They actually have it listed as a paste board because I imagine we're going to paste all of our stuff down. But you can see it's there are some holes, there are gaps here between the aluminum pieces, between the aluminum piping here. They're just barely zapped on there. I might have to have a welding friend kind of scrape back some paint and do that if I were to really use this a lot. But if you're just going to pop this down, I can't imagine that's going to be a problem. Plus, you're going to end up with pedals that are across here. So let me just put a couple of them on here so I can show you what we're going to be looking at in part 2 of the video. Well, I'm a little surprised by how many pedals I have on this board. I really didn't think I'd get more than 4 of these Behringers across there, but I could actually fit another mini pedal. It is 14.5 inches, or I guess, what is that, 37 centimeters, 14.5 inches wide, 27 centimeters deep, or just shy of 11 inches this way, that way. So you can get 2 rows of pedals on here, and I guess depending on how you want to arrange them, I probably would have my tuner down there, and then I like to go low gain to high gain kind of stuff. I have a couple of pedals here that I borrowed from my buddy Mike that I want to check out, in addition to some of the other stuff that I own. I've just been, over the past couple of years, just been grabbing little things that speak to me, and unfortunately I found something this weekend that was terrible, and I'm sending it back. This company, Safu, I actually don't mind that tremolo very much. It has a touch of a volume drop, but I bought their phaser. Oh, it was terrible. As soon as you turn it on, your guitar, if you were on a dirty sound, the volume drop was so drastic that it almost made my dirty sound clean, and my clean sound was non-existent. And it was a one knob phaser. It's just, I don't recommend the Safu phaser, and I will probably stay away from Safu products. I got lucky with the Playwell stuff. It actually, you can find one setting on each one of the Playwell pedals that I have that sounds good. So I'll probably get this all put together here in a couple of minutes, and that'll actually be part 2 of this video. And we'll talk about some of the upgrades. I got a bag of stuff here that I've been collecting and have pulled off of other boards. And we'll talk about some of the upgrades in part 2 that you can do to a kit like this. And then how we might take certain pedals and swap them in and out. Like there's a better version of that. Let's say you really get into the sound of a clone pedal and you want to explore the real version. Well, these kind of like pedal boards are a great way to do that. If you have like something that's a Helix or something where it's an all-in-one thing, nowadays you can get some really amazing sounds. It's just a different experience making a pedal board and kind of swapping things in and out and just having everything kind of react the way that they do into different amps, and then take that board and try it in different amps and have a little pride in what you make. I want to kind of go through that process of making maybe your first medium-sized pedal board. You've been collecting some pedals. You want to figure out how to get it going and what order I would use. And maybe your order is going to be different. The pedal order makes a big difference in your overall sounds. And it's a neat thing to experiment with. And it's a nice option to just have, especially once you've got a bunch of $20 and $30 pedals kicking around. Why not put them on something that's 20 or 30 bucks and get them all together? So we'll talk about some of the different upgrades in the next video that I would do. I don't know if I would call that an upgrade, but it's an option. I want to see too, like what other, like would this fit on here, this Guitaria? Would that fit in there? And then I could probably do something like that. Maybe. Yeah, something you have to consider is cable space. So with these cables, I don't know if these Behringers will really work this well with the cable. So I do have some Here's a first example of an upgrade would be upgrading that cable. There's an Ernie Ball flat patch, and I have a couple of other style of flat patches. So we'll look at all of that in part 2. So yeah, if this is your kind of thing and you like messing around with pedals and all of that, you know, hit the subscribe, hit that bell, and then you'll know when part 2 comes up for this build. And if this is something you're getting into, hopefully we can kind of go through this together. I love doing this kind of stuff. I love talking about pedal boards with friends. And Mike, thank you for letting me borrow some pedals here to check out. I'm digging that tube amp modeler. It sounds really cool. This is interesting. It's a little more expensive than what I want for this board, but of course, so is this. But that's part of the process. I don't know if this will end up on my board because I think it takes up a little bit much space for what I want, but I do want to check it out a little bit more. I love the fact that it can have 4 presets. With a board like this, sometimes it's really nice to have things with options. Like this overdrive distortion, it can be an overdrive or it can be a more saturated, rich sounding distortion with that mode knob. This super fuzz, which can have several different fuzz sounds or a boost sound. And I've done videos on a couple of these, and I need to redo my video on the digital reverb pedal because it's interesting, not amazing, but it works. It's a nice kind of set and forget kind of a thing. And I think my favorites on here are the plate or the room modulate settings. I really like this option because sometimes I like to run stereo or even wet dry. And with something like this vintage delay, you have a direct out. Hey, there goes everything. You have a direct out on this side, which is you're able to then send the dry signal without delay to 1 amp and then continue your affected signal chain out of the regular out, and then that can go like to the modulator and then become stereo output there and stereo input to the digital reverb. So, and then I have that option, or I could just kind of keep it all just as an in and out all series board, all in mono. But having these at the ends like that gives me the option to just kind of pop different cables in and start to explore that. That's one of the fun things about an actual pedal board, and just seeing what pedals different ones sound like. You can do that with a lot of the modern things. Some have the wet dry options or multiple signal paths in those modern processors, and you can find that. But again, getting a bunch of different pedals and trying them out and seeing what sounds cool and just putting something together that you like, that's a lot of fun for me. That's something I dig. Yeah, that wouldn't work. And that might work, but probably not. Maybe that, but then you can't hit the button. So, you got to think about all the different ways to lay the stuff like this out. So this little medium board actually has a number of options. You can get like 8 to 10 pedals or so on it. What do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on here, and they're all pretty awkward size. Hey! And that still leaves some room for cables. That's not bad. This is a good little board. I'm impressed. I would not go banging it around or anything like that, but this one is going to stay still. Probably just move back and forth a couple of times, hopefully, and do the thing. So, yeah, if this is your kind of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know when part 2 is coming up. And thanks for being here.